All right. Good morning, Mr. Walter. Thank you for joining me on the 11th episode of One to Come Up, a podcast where aspiring entrepreneurs can learn from the best of the best, those on Forbes 30 under 30. Today, you're joining me all the way from Paris. So thank you for being with me here.
Well, hi, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Walter, you're the co-founder and current CTO of Stockley, a tech retail company based out of Paris. Could you explain to the viewers who you guys are, what you guys do, and maybe that's something important in Europe, because to my knowledge, we don't have anything like it here in America.
So yes, Stockley is a network of e-commerce websites that share inventory to reduce out of stocks. Let's say, for example, you have two websites, A and B, that sells the same shoe, and the first one doesn't have it in stock anymore. We'll offer them to continue selling it to you. If you buy it, they'll transfer the order to us. We'll attribute it to the second website, which will send your order directly in neutral packaging. The reason that Stockley develops mostly in Europe rather than the United States is that the e-commerce market is a bit different in Europe than it is in the United States. In the United States, it's mainly dominated by Amazon with a low penetration of marketplaces. So the market is not that splitted. Whereas in Europe, the market is a lot splitted. It's splitted because there's a lot more marketplaces, and it's splitted because there's a lot more of country-specific leaders. For example, the leader in France is not the same as the leader in Germany, which is not the same as the leader in Spain. And so it's way easier for us to connect a German marketplace with a French marketplace so that they can share inventory, which this doesn't really depend on the language.
Wow, that's very cool. That's certainly a very interesting business model. At first, I wasn't sure, how could you do that, but it makes sense now. So you founded this company in 2017 after graduating from university. Could you explain the initial stages of development for Stockley? Because I know you joined Techstars, a seed accelerator, and then within a year of growth, you already had some partnerships with the major retailers in France. So could you explain those initial stages of growth there?
Yeah. So actually, we started working with my co-founder Elliot Jabez on a project of a company in 2016. And initially, we did complete random stuff that didn't work. We started by doing a chatbot to which you could discuss, and they would recommend you a pair of shoes. You describe what's your style, what you want to do with the shoe, etc. And then we would recommend you the shoe. At the beginning, 2016, that was a bit hard to get the NLP part right. And so we decided to pivot, and we did the comparative of shoes, where the website where we get to see a specific shoe and you would see where to buy it at the lowest price. This was working quite well. And then, but then we discovered that to be the number one on the market, we would have to be number one on Google, that the key game was SEO, which is something that we didn't want to do for two reasons. First, it's not a job I wanted to do. It's funny to be to be a CTO of a SEO-based company, but it's a very specific development that you want to do, less tech-oriented. And secondly, Google doesn't like comparative websites. Google thinks that if you look for a pair of shoe, then he must be the one providing it directly the best offer. And so launching this company, meaning that we would have to try to be number one on something where Google doesn't like us. And that didn't seem like a good idea. We pivoted again a few times, and we actually, so the company was legally incorporated in 2016, but we launched the actual business model of Stockley in 2018. And that's when things started to clip in and to go better. We started the model like in spring of 2018, and directly we started to sign first big e-commerce here in France, which called Galeries Lafayette. And things started to go up. We did our first fundraise in the beginning of summer 2018, and then we joined Techstars, and since then things has been going pretty okay.
Good, yeah. You're still around 6 years later, 7 years later, and you're still doing very well. So things have been going good. So then in 2020, you joined the Morale Connect ecosystem, which was also like a marketplace kind of platform. Could you explain what that is and what led you guys to join them and what benefits have you gained from that partnership?
Sorry, which partnership?
The Miracle Connect ecosystem.
Honestly, I've never had that name. So maybe
No.
we joined, but probably didn't provide a lot. So I don't remember them. That's probably something that my co-founder joined, thinking it might have some nice things to it, but I didn't hear about it, so it probably didn't provide that much.
Yeah, it's difficult to research for the Europeans because there's not much on Google about you, so I have to get it from whatever I can. All right, so then
Mm.
in
What I
2021.
can speak to you about, if what I can speak to you about is Techstars. Techstars was
Oh yeah.
very, very interesting for Stockley, because we joined at the end of 2018, and it was a great experience. It was a really an awesome experience. There was basically three things that Stockley, why Techstars influenced greatly Stockley. The first one is that it connects you with a lot of important people. Basically, it creates you a network, else that as a young founder, it would be harder to get. So that's the first thing that you get to go to Techstars. Second thing is that it groups you with other people in the same stage as you. One thing that's a bit hard when you're launching a company is that most of the time you're quite alone in this experience, because your friends might not also be entrepreneur. They will start usually having other nice jobs in sometimes tech company. They get nice salaries, and you're there, you don't get this salary, and it's a bit of a different lifestyle at the beginning. And so they group these entrepreneurs together, and they make it work a bit like a class. And so you get this team spirit that you get, where you're a group of other people doing the same thing, and that helps a lot. And finally, they teaches you tips and tricks that just work better. That's the you don't get to learn how to be very efficient at school or at university. Well, that's I studied abstract math, so that was efficiency was very, very far away from what I studied. And so they kind of teach you this business mentality of how to be efficient, how to be good at writing mails, stuff like that, which when you do very tech studies, you don't always have. So these are the three things that I would recommend to go to Techstars too. And Techstars, I think it's particularly beneficial for young entrepreneurs. For if you're a more mature entrepreneur, if you're a repeat entrepreneur, I might not advise it. But for first-time young entrepreneurs, I think doing an accelerator has a very benefit impact on your on the probability of success of your startup.
Yeah. Well, thank you for going over Techstars because that is very interesting, and you're also the first person to have gone through Techstars that I've had on the podcast. So thank you for that. So then, in 2021, you did another round of funding for $5 million, and was this your first Series A? And how did you use your money, in 2021 to build your company to scale it up?
Yeah. So this round was we marketed it as a seed round. So we did the name of our round was pre-seed round, was the first round I spoke about in 2018, and this seed round in 2021, and then we did a Series A in 2022. Really, this round really enabled us to start developing at internationally. We before 2021 we were mainly in France, and then we started developing all around Europe, and now we have something like 40 to 45% of our turnover that is outside France. So this one was really it was a pleasure because this is the first one we do where it was, oh, the company has value in it. The first round we did, 2020, in 2018, you could see that we thought we had something. We thought we started to feel some like product market fit or stuff like that. But mainly we raised on our names. We raised because my co-founder and I had done OK studies in France, and 2021, that was really the fact that, oh, now with the money we gave us, we did build something that seems interesting and people want to invest to make it grow. And that was very interesting. So that was the moment where we decided to invest more on growth, and that's where the company kept its growth rate. So basically we do between ×2 and ×3 a year. And in 2021, I think we are doing something like ×4 per year in terms of turnover.
Yeah, that's very rapid growth right there, 4 times over that you grew. And then that explains why in 2022 you were able to do $12 million with double the valuation. So how did you grow so quickly? And then after in 2022, how did you further continue to grow with $12 million additional?
So I'm very happy about our growth rates, but just so that you know, in the startup industry, it's good growth rate. It's not top one growth rate. If
Really?
you'd think a top one growth rate would be in my area would be ×10 a year. That means some startup are able to do that. Not a
Yeah.
lot. There's usually like 1 to 5 startup in the world that can do 10 times turnover a year. Then if you go to ×3 a year, you're good. You're in the top 30%. You're a good company. People will look at you. And then if you go down at under ×2 a year, then you're in the lower half of the startups. So just the new Stockly is a very good company. It's top 30%, but it's not a top one on the growth. The way we do it is basically there's two things you want to invest on. You want to invest on tech and on how do you onboard more clients. So at Startly, we have a lot of tech that's purely focused on how do we get faster clients? How do we integrate them easier? How do they generate more volume at Startly as fast as possible? And that's the main investment that we do, is that you have to split your investment between focusing especially on how to get clients and how does this client will generate you volume and revenue as fast as possible. And the other part, how do you bring more value to your clients? But it's really important to understand that it's okay and important to invest not on the value you bring to your clients, but on how easy can your clients give you money. And that's a part that we did quite early on, and that helped us keep our growth.
Yeah, that's an interesting point as well with the different levels of startup growth. How there's some companies able to do it 10 times over, and some 4 times over, some not so quickly that they can grow. Um, so how have you guys affected the European market? Because this is obviously the first thing in Europe like this, and it seems you have over 300 partnerships with like the major retailers. So have you had like a noticeable impact on the European market, sort of?
I don't think we have, and I think that's a very good news for Stockly. I think Stockly is still a very small company, meaning that we have a lot of room to grow. And that's kind of the aim of the next years, is to keep growing at those rates to start having an impact on the industry. Right now, there's thousands of e-commerce websites in Europe, and the European market in e-commerce is tens of billions. We're doing tens of millions. So we can go times 1,000 before we're even representing a small portion of the market.
Wow.
So the world is big, which means that you can create big companies. That's very nice to as a thought of where we can go. So I don't think we impacted, but that just means we have room to do so.
Yeah. There's always ways to expand, to grow. So, what's been going on this past year in 2024? Where have been your major challenges? Has it been to integrate new AI as like a sort of a tech company, or has it been more on the retailer, keeping up with retail and continuing to get more partnerships? Where has been your main focus?
So there we have two focus. So Stockly as this network, you can basically think about two ways that we can optimize. First, how easy it is for partners to plug to this network. And that's what I was speaking about, the investment on how do you make people use your product easily. And secondly is how do I smooth the transactions between the two partners. And for that, we did plug a lot of AI. We plugged AI on basically three different levels. First, a big thing on e-commerce in Europe is pricing. It's you have to have the lowest price, and that's how you get clients. And this pricing, there's things in Europe where in Europe you have this law that says that if you buy over e-commerce, you can send back your product free of charge.
Oh, I think something happened. You're breaking up. Your camera is breaking up, and your camera has turned off. Mr. Walter, are you still there? Or
Sorry,
there you are. Yeah,
was it
you're.
cut at some times or?
Yeah, now your audio just cut out, and then so did your camera. So could you you repeat your
Yeah,
answer?
I was saying on the AI, one thing that we were investing on the AI is the pricing algorithm, which started to embed a lot of AI. And notably, one of the reasons I was saying that is because of the return rates that greatly depends on the different partners and marketplaces. For example, in Germany, we have between 20 and 25% return rate, which means that between 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 4 articles bought online are returned back to the e-commerce websites. That generates a lot of costs. In France, it's more around 7%, which makes basically 1 of every 13 articles is sent back. So this means that it's not the same cost structure if you want to sell in Germany than if you want to sell in France, because your return won't be the same. So if I have a partner that's French and that used to sell on French market, and I want to connect him to the German market, I have to help him to price accordingly to the German market. And this is done through AI. This was one of the brick of AI that we added in 2024. 2025, yeah.
And continue on.
2025 is the moment where we can start to integrate Gen AI in our solution. And one of the things that's to smoothen the operation of the transaction is to better understand the intention of the consumers. Basically, our job is to map what consumers want into specific processes. For example, if a consumer wants to return its article, we have to understand that he wants to return it and detect where is this article. If we haven't shipped it yet, let's block the shipment. If it's shipped, let's warn him that he might receive it, and when he receives it, he can send back. If he has it, we have to send them a return slip so he can send it back. Understanding this human intention usually is done by humans. Human reading messages that says, I want to return, and the human understands, oh, okay, he wants to return, and so I click on the return procedure. This is a thing that AI starts doing very well. Understanding that a consumer said, I want to return. And these are the bricks that we're developing right now.
Wow, that's certainly very interesting that you're going to have AI start to be able to predict user behavior and to know when and where they want to return. So how does Stockly work? Do you have your own warehouses and do you have your own design packaging? Because how do they combine their inventories? One in France, one Germany, 1,000 miles away. How do they and then how would they ship?
So
To each other?
we don't use warehouses because this is a lot of physical work, and we're a tech company. So we plug directly to their informatic system of the different retailers. So we connect them so that we can have visibility on their inventory in real time. And then we help our e-commerce, our partners to open contracts with transporters such as DHL, UPS, so that they can ship in multiple countries. And once you have an inventory, the real-time visibility on inventory and shipping capabilities, we then do the matching between, oh, okay, can this inventory with this shipping capabilities be distributed in this area? And then we do the matching.
All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense now that it's kind of done through those other sources and then to match them. So that's because that's an unusual thing in America. I had never heard of anything like that. So what does 2025 look like? You already mentioned integrating AI. Would you perhaps expand into to other continents now, to Asia, to Africa, or are you continuing to grow the brand? Or what does 2025 look like? We're only 23 days in now.
Uh, I don't think we'll expand to other continents. We'll keep continuing Europe. Basically, when you want to expand on other markets, I think the real reflection you have to have is the next the next dollar of turnover, where is it the easiest to go? And you go, where is your next dollar of revenue easiest to get? For us, that's still in Europe. So our return on investment is best in Europe, so we stay in Europe. When we'll be too big in Europe and it's going to be hard to get the next euro, maybe the next euro of turnover is going to be easier to get in the United States. And that would be the point where I would get to the United States or Africa or Asia or stuff like that. But that's how we think about when we expand. And for now, this means staying in Europe. In terms of products, this year was basically we're still targeting to do a bit more of times two. So times two, that's basically hundreds of new clients to integrate. That in itself is a challenge. And secondly is improving the product to integrate the AI on multiple processes. I've told you about the returns, but there's a ton of shit that can go haywire in an e-commerce transaction that you want to be able to handle.
Yeah, it certainly seems like with all the processes, there's a lot of stuff that can't go wrong because it's just so multifaceted, so complex, and dealing with the different legal systems as well, and different company procedures. So how is that something that you you do with pooling their inventories and their different models, and how's that something that all works with their different company policies and different countries?
So the inventory is a easy enough thing to handle because it's basically the same everywhere. Like inventory is basically a price, quantity, and an article. The article, the identification of the articles is mostly standardized through what's called the GTN. That's the Global Trade International Number. That's the barcode. You know, when you go to Walmart and you scan your barcode, you scan the GTN. So that's mostly standardized. So inventory data is quite easy to access and to standardize because it's mostly standardized. What's harder to standardize, it's what we call the marketing data, which is the product description, its composition, its images, how it's presented, etc. Because this can greatly depend on the partner where you see it. A German e-commerce will have a description in German, French e-commerce will have a description in French, etc., etc. And so we're working on other AI tools to help us automatically translate and transform, say, okay, I want this description, which it's written in this format. So for example, first is the benefit, second is the composition, and third is like the usage. But this website wants first to put the usage, then composition, then description. And so we're using AI tools to automatically translate and reformulate descriptions so that it matches the internal marketing policy of our different partners. And that's a thing that we hope to develop a lot in 25. The aim is that if we know that certain articles are performing well in this marketplace, we want to be able to offer our suppliers that has the physically article to sell them on all the other marketplaces in order to increase their volume.
That's certainly very interesting that you're going to use this AI in so many different capacities. So we're kind of at the 30-minute mark where I try to keep the podcast in length. So I normally like to end it. We've gone over your entire past. We've gone over the present day, 2025. What's the future going to look like in 5 years from now, 2030? Do you think at that point, you'll still be with Stockley? Stockley will have grown to have like even a fraction of an impact on the marketplace, or what does 2030, 5 years from now look like?
Well, I certainly hope so. I really don't see any boundaries to Stockley. I mean, the market is so vast. It's like I'm swimming in the ocean and you're telling me, do you see any bound? Well, that's it's not really the case. So there's so much value that we can provide. So no, so 5 years from now, I really hope that Stockley will have a significant part of the e-commerce market share, and that we will be able to smoothen any transaction with, at least in the European Union, so that when you buy online, statistically, you buy to Stockley, and it's very easy for you because we've simplified all the processes.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Walter, for joining me today. This was certainly very interesting to learn about your company, Stockley, and to learn a little bit about the European marketplace. You're one of the first European companies I have, and certainly the first commerce actually person that I've had on here. So thank you for joining me. This was a very interesting episode.
Well, thank you for receiving me.
Yes. All right. See you later. Have a good one.
Bye bye.